Done.
That's my voice.
All right. Hopefully this is not too distracting. But yeah, hi, my name is Eshna Prasad. I am the GSD representative to the HGC this year. Welcome to the GSD or the Gun Hall. That's our building. And that's what it looks like at night. And it's always open all night. Usually now between 2 and 5 it's shut, but I think this is the pride of this school. And so I think it's important to give it its due. And we are the architecture school technically, but we have multiple programs. The ship was, I mean, this building is often imagined as a machine. That's what we call it. It's a machine where all of us are working and each of us are kind of propelling the other one to work. And that's what the professors talk about it like as well. And I sometimes like to think of it as a ship as well. And at the helm of this ship is Dean Sarah Whiting. And she's amazing. She's the first woman dean at the GSD. She took over 2 years ago, but there's a messy set of like cards, but she's been amazing. And I think it's important to take her name here. She's at the staircase, the windows that we were just walking up. So it's a beautiful view from there. But I just wanted to walk through the structure of GSD administratively really quickly so you'll have an idea about it. Dean Sarah Whiting, like I said, is at the top, heading this kind of huge institution. We have the Dean of Academic Affairs. We have an executive Dean Jackie. I can never say the last name, so I'm not going to. Mark Goebel, who's really important because he handles finance and operations. There's Peggy Burns, who deals with development and alumni relationships. But I think for us, most importantly, is that the student forum is kind of organized under these multiple administrative departments. So there's these multiple positions and somehow they fall under these different departments. We deal with not the people on this map directly, but that is to say that Ashley Lang from Academic Affairs kind of deals with the academic chair, or like we work with the academic office. So before I went into the student forum structure, I just wanted you to see that there's an academic office, there's an office for the building, there's building services, there's alumni relationships, there's Laura Snowden, who student services, and she's under who we fall, which is student forum falls under the student services. This is the team for this year. This is our executive board. Unfortunately, Ryan is no longer on the team because he had some personal reasons to take leave. So we have somebody new. I don't have an updated picture of her, but I just wanted to show you this is our team. And I serve as Harvard Graduate Council. President is Stephanie Lloyd, who is just around here. There's the academic chair, and she is Bailey Brown. There's a diversity and inclusion chair. We have a diversity and inclusion dean, Nisha Bradley. He falls under kind of that office. He's Jerome. There's professional development, Naksha. Resources chair, Ryan Walls. We have Sarah Pumphrey now. Social events this year, we have 2 because we think logistics of planning, that is going to be a lot. You met Arshia and Hattie. And then there's student groups chair, which is Junaina Ahmed, who used to lead WID last year as well. WID is Women in Design, which is one of our student groups. So these are important people. Hopefully they will be reaching out to everybody for collaborations and different executive board members, but I just wanted to take their names and let you know who they are. Roughly, these are all the programs that are there at the Harvard Graduate School of Design. Architecture being one of the main ones where it began. So we have an MArch-1, AP, and then MArch-2. What this means is it's an acronym soup here at the GSD, but what it means is a Master of Architecture 1 and 2, post-professional and professional. So it goes from 3 years to 2 years. And AP is like 2.5 in the middle if you have some majors that allow you for credits. Then there's the Department of Landscape Architecture. Now over there, you again have the MLA, which is the Master in Landscape Architecture, and the AP, which is a fast track version of it, and then the MLA2, which is a post-professional landscape architecture degree. But these each make a different department. They have a different chair, and then they're different degree programs. So that's why they're segregated the way they are. There's urban planning and design. I am a dual degree student here at the GSD. I did 2 years of my Master of Architecture in Urban Design, which is that I did a master's in urban design, and I'm doing my 3rd and last year now under the Master in Design Studies program, which is a research-based program that's almost like a compressed PhD in some way, in that they want you to specialize in research and theory, and they give you the ability to do it interdisciplinarily with different design, but not directly design backgrounds. So that's going to take me a minute to explain, because that just went through an overhaul at the GSD last year, which is extremely, created a lot of conflict, interestingly, but I think good things have come from that. So just to run over, the Urban Planning and Design Department is where I used to be. That's the degree I did, which is the Master of Architecture in Urban Design, MAUD. There's a Master of Landscape Architecture in Urban Design, which is MLAUD. You're not going to remember any of this, but if someone throws it at you, which they probably will, maybe this will somehow come back to you. And then there's like the Master in Urban Planning, which used to be housed at the HKS, ironically, but came back to the GST a while ago, HKS being the Kennedy School. And that can be done with as a joint degree with like a doctor's degree, an MPA, an MPE, and MPH. So a lot of planners in this building have joint degrees with other schools that they do in 3 years. And then I said the MDel. I fall under ecologies now, but that's 4 domains. Ecologies, mediums, narratives, and publics. And they're extremely broad because of the way they're defined. So what that is to say is that ecologies looks at the relationship between human beings and infrastructure, human beings and network systems, so on and so forth. Mediums is what used to be art design. And we had a degree called ADPD, which is a medium of design. That's kind of been assimilated into mediums, as well as the MDes tech. So there's a technology version of design. And if you're exploring mediums of designing, then you go under mediums. And then there was narratives, because we had critical conservation. We had a degree that Kevin did, which was history, philosophy of design media. So they look into like the history of all of the things that happened here, etc. So now that comes into narratives, and then there's publics, which explores anthropology, sociological relationships, and so on and so forth. So we still have one last batch of all of these old MDes students here. So it's a little bit messy right now because we have an incoming batch of all of this and the second year batch of all of this. This is a 2-year degree. So until next year, you're still going to have to know all of that. And then we have the Master in Design and Engineering, the MDE program, now moved to the SEAS building, but it's a joint degree with SEAS. We have some PhD students over here, and we have something called the Doctor of Design and Details. Again, these are in conjunction with FAS, with GSAS, and like, so they're not exact, they don't exactly fall just under the GST, but those are programs we have. And this is a chart of roughly the numbers. It's from the fact book of Harvard from last year. And we had a lot of people on leave of absence, but this is to say that enrolled still were 853 students, and that's how they break down under different departments. So all those trays that you see, kind of people in the trays kind of fall under all of these departments. And I think this year we have close to 1,000, like we said, right? Because a lot of them have come back from their leave of absence. Really quickly, this is the building from the inside. We call them trays, and everybody's in their studio, like in the studio on their desks. He told you 2 people sit behind each other. In GST terms, we call buttmates. It's funny, but that is what we are. We face each other like that, and the person in front of you is like a face mate, but no one actually uses that term. All classes are like, you can see the dean, the chair of the urban design and planning department, Rahul Manocha, are taking class like that. So a lot of studio classes are taken in this space and not in the classrooms that are tucked in the back. This is a fab lab. We didn't take you down there because it's kind of underground and it's a small corridor and we didn't have the time. But here we have the laser cutting machines, the wood workshop, the metal workshop. We have the beautiful gun, the Zund machine, which is like a laser cutting, but drawing, and everything happens over here. So that's downstairs. And then we have this new room, which is the 3D printers room. This is a small 3D printers. We have one bigger one as well. They used to be allowed in the trays. People used to have them on their desks with refrigerators and blah, blah, blah. But this creates a lot of air pollution. So they moved it all into one room, which is where you do it now. That is the cafe, the Chow House. If you would have walked down all the way and gone to that side, is where we had, it's a play on words with the Bauhaus, but which is the Bauhaus movement of design. But it's shut right now because of COVID policies. So it's become a space for co-working. We can't eat in the building. This is the Francis Loeb Library. It's often used for exhibits as well. You have these seating up and down on the ground as well. This is what Kevin was telling you. This is what the Piper Auditorium looks like during finals. It's these boards full of drawings, and like all of these boards fill up the room. People walk around. We don't give exams. We do sometimes, depends on what we're doing, but mostly we're giving jury. So we're used to presenting work, and people, basically your models are laid out, and then jurors come in from inside the building, as well as like internal teachers, as well as external jurors, and then you defend your work or discuss it depending on who's taking the studio. That's how models are often discussed. You'll see huge models all over the GST, sometimes not now because we're just back in the building, but often, and it's beautiful. This is the Drucker Gallery. And that's a space that exhibits really interesting works often. Right now it's the A to Z exhibition, which is a student work from last year because they didn't get a graduation. Technically, they do it every year, but the idea is that there's these other interesting exhibits. You can walk in any time, come by. There was one called Love in the Mist. What other exhibitions did we have here? Inscription. Well, like interesting exhibitions that are open to public, just walk in if you have an Harvard ID. They're both mixed media. You have screenings, movies. Sometimes you have like models as well. So I'm going to move on from the spaces that we have, a little bit about the student forum. We do it this year. The student forum has been being headed by Stephanie Lloyd, who is pretty organized and amazing. We do bi-weekly student forum newsletter that goes out with all the updates and things from each chair. Like I said, I explained to you all the chairs, but two of the things that we've been working on is the reunion and reorientation. Reorientation was the first 2 weeks. And what we did is we did campus tours where we led campus tours for all the students that have never been at campus, because there's a lot of them. We did the gun hole tours, which is what Kevin did for you all, partially really crammed into like 10 minutes, but we do all of that. So we had a lot of good responses. During orientation week, the backyard, which we didn't get to see, is where we did the student forum open mic. We had people sign up for music, and we kind of had blankets and people came out and started working. So this is something we've already done. In terms of reunion, we wanted people to understand what the student forum is. There's so much lack of institutional knowledge that no one knows who's doing what, because you've been online for 1 year and most of the programs are about 2 to 3 years. So you need to understand that most of them turned out. So we do info sessions, which are all these picnic tables either inside the backyard where students can come. We give them coffee and snacks, and they come and talk to us about what are the options, what are their opportunities. What is HGC is one of the questions we often get. And of course, there's the legendary beer and dogs, which has been reinvented. So every Friday, there's a tradition at the TSD where the school gives us free beer, because we're that stuck to a desk that they need to give us a reason to walk out. And so that's how it started. I think, I'm kidding. I don't know why they did it, but it is what it is. And every year we have different student groups who pair up with the student forum to do a theme weekly. So it's like Latin American music night, Bollywood night, sometimes there's Medina, and then the music changes and the theme changes, the food changes. And so this is what it's reinvented to this year. We finally got the dean to agree that we'll be socially distanced, low music. This is a risky proposition right now. It's on, we don't know if it's going to keep continuing depending on the numbers, but we're good right now. So this was beer and dogs last week. And things that the student forum does generally, and hopefully we will do, is another thing that we love is the Halloween. We have some pretty interesting poster competitions every year. Those are poster winners from the last 3 years. They're all designed by students, and the party is floated by the student forum. Some of the costumes are amazing. This is from, I think, 2 years ago at the Boulder Box, which is at Somerville. It's open, ticketed event for all of the schools across Harvard. There's also something called the Both Arts Ball, which is when we dress fancy. One of the only times we architects dress fancy and go to a ball. And it hasn't happened in 2 years, so we're hoping to do it this year. So these are other things that we do. And then there's a Thanksgiving dinner. And that's when the entire school sits down, and then we volunteer to serve and give people food. And again, student forum works with the administration to do something like this. So we're hoping to do that. Lastly, during studio, and studio can be really stressful. If you ever come in into the building, at that time you'll see people crying and like people like my model's broken, all of that. So we get care dogs in, we do food, and this kind of falls under the student forum's responsibilities. But they're one of the most, we do massages as well. People's necks are hurting, backs are hurting, all of that. So this is something we hope to bring back as well. We haven't done it in the virtual semester. And with that, I'm going to kind of give a shout out to all the things that I haven't spoken about, which is all the student groups. We have a large number, I think over 40 here. Some of them are affinity groups, some of them are identity groups, some of them are just working on issues that they think are important, like women in design, queer in design, so on and so forth. Each of them have their own programming. There's beautiful things that are happening in this building. They're looking for collaborations across different schools. You can go to Engage GSD and find out who's running them and talk to them and see what opportunities present themselves. But I'm going to stop here, and I hope this helped a little bit.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's give her a hand. Okay, hi everyone. So just really quick, does anyone have any questions? Oh, that might have been me. I was just asking people to like put their names in their school. Yeah, so for anyone who joined us late, just follow some of the chat instructions that I provided, but good to see everyone. Welcome to our new weird reality. One of the things that I'm gonna try and do is I'm actually gonna turn this computer around so you guys can see who's in the room, and I'm gonna use my computer or Timoth's computer as the agenda. So just bear with us here. This is our first remote meeting. Hi, Stefania. But I'm gonna just do that. In that part of the room. Oh, well, you need this anyway. Go ahead. Okay. And then for those of you who are there in Zoom cyberspace, just to give you a little tour of the room, I will be your spine. There's Nima and a couple other people, and Izzy, our Crimson representative. We'll do intros later. There's the other half of the room. There's also Xavier, a wonderful chair of advocacy, a bunch of other people. So just wanted to give you guys a little tour, but I will follow on these tools for the moment, so I apologize. But we're gonna just go with that. And Zoom people, please let us know if you have a hard time hearing anyone, because this is also being recorded. We might pass around like a microphone or something. Okay, yeah. What happened? Oh, that's fun. Okay, so I'll do that then. Perfect. And I think
Yeah.
oh my goodness. I feel like I have a third arm. Am I doing it? Can you guys see that? Can you do? So then, do I do
Yeah,
this?
actually just push it. Yeah. There we go.
Oh my God. Technology. Right. Okay. Okay. Wait. So people in Zoom, can you guys see that?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Oh, I think you're. Hold on. I think you're muted. Where's the?
Yep.
Is
Yes,
the
we
sound
can.
on here? Oh, the sound's in my computer
Yeah, so
now.
now it's on.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
It should come through the speakers, right?
Wait, actually, let me do,
Sorry, everyone. Can you guys all hear me? Yeah. Oh, I'm okay. My computer's on mute. That's why. Okay. Just to test this out, Estefania, can you say something?
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Oh, wonderful! Like the booming voice of God. Okay. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So
down to the, yeah, there we go. Third page.
all right, so really quick, if you guys didn't see the Slack message, please submit your meal reimbursements. If you guys are new to HGC, we're subsidizing $20 for every council meeting, and that you guys can, pay for meals. Normally we have like a little catered food thing, but because of COVID, we're just trying to keep everyone safe. So please submit your meal reimbursements if you're an HGC exec member or you are a representative.
And as long as like the receipts are like from today evening, that should be good. And feel free to like also submit like grocery bills and things like that. Like it doesn't have to be like a meal, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely get reimbursed.
And can you guys hear that there in Zoom, what you just said? Wonderful. Okay.
Yes.
Was that? Oh,
Yeah, I think we're hearing you so far away.
you want to see me? Hi, that's me. Okay. All right. So guys, let's go ahead and get things started. And what we're going to do is we're going to do roll call a little bit differently today, just because this is our first council meeting. We're going to go with introductions with everyone in the room. And then as I hear names, I'll say type down present. Normally in most council meetings, what's going to happen is as soon as you jump into the Zoom or as soon as you're out here, you're going to have your name in parentheses. Maybe for the people in person, we'll make you guys like name cards or something so that we don't have to roll call every single person and we can just type in whether or not you're present or absent. Okay. So we're going to start with people in the room first, and we're going to go left to right. So just for fun, I'm going to take this laptop around so you can see people's faces. But Izzy, do you want to start?
Sure.
There you go.
Hello, this is very, seems like, I don't know, some sci-fi movie, but great to.
Sorry, 1 second. All right, go ahead.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Hi.
Okay, mute that.
Mute this.
phone. So just project, just project.
Awesome. And so, okay,
Or
it's
should we
not
just have
echoing.
people come up? You could just have people come up.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay, yeah, maybe that's better. All right, sorry. We'll have people come up. Sorry, guys, this is so complicated. Okay, yeah, let's put the computer back. Izzy, do you want to come up and then we'll have people come up one by one?
Sure. Super happy to do that. Okay. Hi. So my name is Izzy or Isabella. I'm a undergraduate student at Harvard College. I'm the liaison for the Crimson. So I'll be attending these meetings and writing like biweekly articles for the Crimson on like what's being discussed, what the progress is, because I cover graduate students affairs for the Crimson. So super excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, it's great to see you all. Okay.
Thanks, Izzy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Dystopia. My name is Nima. I'm currently a fourth year Master of Architecture student here at the GSD. Last year I was a class representative or the representative for the HGC, and now I'm on the exec board as chair of information. So any questions related to IT, I'm following my father's footsteps and doing IT work now. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Yes, you are.
All right, there we go. All right, hello, I'm William. I'm a fifth year in computer science at the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, and I will be I'll be the rep for C's at least until one of myself or Mark gets things sorted out. So good to meet you all. And this is my third year on HGC, I think, nominally. So
Thanks, William.
Hello and hello. My name is Matt. I'm a sixth year PhD student in chemistry. I am not a formal HGC rep. I'm here to just share some information about HGSU and what's going on with the Graduate Students Union, answer any questions. Either I or maybe another member of HGSU will probably continue to attend just to be sort of an interface, or maybe one of us will become a rep, who knows? But anyway, really happy to be here and chat with you all.
Hey, I'm Brian. Hey, I'm Vivek. We're representing HBS, both of our first years on the HGC Council.
yeah, we're second year HBS students, first year on the HGC Council. Great to meet you guys. From, if I can remember correctly, next week is supposed to be in HBS, so we're definitely not going to do as good a job as HNA, but like stay tuned. The campus will do the job. So you got HBS figured out. All right, great meeting you guys.
Thank you.
How was that? How is there a floating head? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
this
my,
is the-
I'm sorry, Constantine. That is my blur background. That's why you have a floating head. I am so sorry. That's terrifying. Let me change that. Preferences. Oh my goodness.
That's okay. No offense taken.
Okay, all right, we're good.
Next person.
Getting ready for the Halloween haunted house.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Farisa. I'm from HGC, so I'm the rep from the Ed School.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Camille. I'm from the Harvard Kennedy School. This is my first year. Super excited to be here and get involved with HGC. That's all.
Thank you. Do you want to go next? To introduce yourself,
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Aishna Prasad. It's my first year at the HGC as well. I'm super excited to be here. I'm from the GSD.
Thank you. Avery, do you want to pop over here now?
Oh, sure. Nima can handle the note taking. Hi, everyone. My name is Xavier. I'm at the Divinity School and I'm the advocacy chair. Did I miss anything? Did I get everything?
That is perfect.
Okay. Hello.
Alright, I guess I'll go really fast. Hi, everyone. My name is Himaja. I am the Vice President for the Harvard Graduate Council. Outside of this, I'm a second-year Masters of Science student in Environmental Health EPI. So currently trying to figure out my proposal for my thesis. So that's where I'm at right now. All right, Peter, do you want to say hi really fast and then we'll do our virtual?
Hi, everyone. I'm Peter. I am in the second year of Master of Bioethics at Harvard Medical School, and I am this year's president for the Harvard Graduate Council. And thanks. And then, Nima, did you go? You did go, right? Okay, wonderful. And then virtual people, we're gonna, oh, sorry, yeah.
Perfect.
Hi, everybody. Max Espinoza. I'm a graduate student at the School of Ed. I think I might be the only member of the public beyond the Crimson, and just came to check it out to see if I want to get more involved.
We're so glad to have you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Okay, so where's my cursor? There it is. Okay, so virtual people, let's just popcorn, and as soon as you're done talking, pass it off to someone else, and then we'll introduce everyone virtually.
Everybody, my name is Brett. I'm from the Extension School. Happy to be here. I'll pass it off to Mark.
Hey everyone, I'm Mark from C's, which is also part of GSS. Glad to be here. And I'll pass it off to Constantine.
Thank you, Mark. And I'm Constantine. I'm, as you know, the face, right, that was hanging out there for Halloween. Anyway, I'm the first year master's student in the Master of Bioethics program at Harvard Medical School. And I'm very happy to be joining tonight for the first time. And how about Gabe?
Hi guys, I'm a 2L at the law school, and I was involved at our law school student government last year, and this is my first time getting involved with HGC, and I'm one of several students from the law school who will be involved this year. And I guess with that, I'll kick it to Joan.
Thanks, Gabe. Hi, everyone. My name is Joan. I'm the Chief of Staff for Student Government at HLS, and by default, I'm part of HGC. So yeah, like Gabe, it's our first time here meeting, and hopefully not the last. And I'm gonna popcorn to Estefania.
Thanks, Joan. Hi, everyone. I'm Stefania Garcia, and the Chair of Student Life, and I'm doing a Master in Management in Harvard Extension School. Nice to meet you. And I pass that to, just let me, Dahi.
Hi, my name is Tahi. I am the representative from dental school, Harvard School of Dental Medicine. And I was part of HGC last year too as a rep, and I am happy to be here. I'll pass it to Jim.
Hey everyone, my name's Jim. I'm completing the government program at HGS. In my day job, I'm a software engineer. Yeah, very happy to be part of HGC this year. Look forward to meeting you all, hopefully in person at some point in the future. Thanks. And I'm not sure, have we got, I think we've done everyone.
Yeah, I think that is everyone. Okay, so I am going to find my cursor. And, oh, there it is. Okay, there's Nima. Yeah, I'm not sharing because my cursor is gone. Yeah, is there, how do you do that on a Mac?
Great question.
Okay, all right, so we're just, yeah, maybe for today, we'll just deal with it. But we're gonna go, let's just replicate my desktop. I think that's easier. Oh, where are people's faces? Oh, you're seeing the wrong desktop. Yeah, that's all my files. Let's do this one. Does that work? Okay, and then I'm gonna drag, can I drag people's faces to this? Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, maybe this is better. Okay.
You can like expand the window out if you like hover over the margin. You can pull it out. I don't know where it has all the little.
Oh, the grid. Oh, I see what you mean. You see like where it says, yeah, there we go.
Oh, and then I can show everybody. Oh, wow. Okay. Sorry, virtual people. You're like, what's going on? We just expanded all of your faces and it's kind of fun. But we want to make sure everyone can see all of you. Okay, so you're right next to our agenda, in case you're wondering.
Zoom in the agenda because it looks kind of small.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Where's the
You see
percentage?
up there, top.
Oh, actually, I can just do control. There we go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we have quorum. All right, so does someone want to make the first motion to approve the agenda of the school year?
Sure, C's motions to approve the agenda.
Wonderful. Is there a second?
Second.
Can you say your school name?
Yeah, C.
Is there any dissent? Please don't. Okay. All right. Agenda is moved and seconded and approved at 7:26 p.m. All right. So we're going to start off with public commenting. So Izzy, you are up. And yeah, let's keep doing this whole podium thing. So if you want to walk up here.
And remind me how many minutes I have. I know these go by pretty fast, so.
Today's a first meeting. We're kind of being
Okay.
weird today, but let's try and do like maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's totally
Leave it to, like,
fine.
10 minutes and 3 speakers.
Sounds good. Okay, so, you know, as I said before, my name's Isabella. Most people just call me Izzy. I'm a reporter for the Crimson. And I think that the two stories that I'm working on right now, that if you know of anyone who's had experiences, if you yourself have opinions, feel free to Slack me. You can reach me via email. But the first story is actually maybe most relevant to those who are proximate to or enrolled in HGC, because a few students reached out to me a while ago saying that for those who are partially enrolled last year or remotely enrolled last year, they have limited access to certain in-person classes. And there were a lot of students who were upset about that and about kind of the administrative reluctance to address that issue. And so if there are any students or any HGC alumni who you know of or you yourself are and you'd like to speak with me about the issue, please reach out to me via Slack. Literally will be a 5-minute chat, but we want to make sure that we're representing voices from HGC in our story. So we want to make sure we interview folks before we publish and push out that story. And the second one is that I'm currently working, and I can't really speak in detail to it because it's a sensitive topic, but basically working on a story around Harvard's Title IX policies, particularly surrounding inter-school reporting, right? So for instance, if you're an HMS student filing a complaint against an individual from GSAS, you know, some students have expressed that that's a particularly challenging process, that sometimes administrators can be really reluctant to escalate the issue. And so if you yourself have been proximate to the Title IX process, if you know of folks who have had experiences, or if you just have opinions on the ways in which Title IX is facilitated at the university, again, feel free to Slack me, feel free to reach me via email. Yeah, and so thank you so much, and back to you.
Yeah, actually, does anyone have any questions for Izzy?
Yes, that too.
And the virtual people, obviously, blue hand raise function. People in here, just raise your hands. Did you have a question?
Yes, all right. I just wanted to understand, like, what do you mean by the Title IX policy, and can you talk about it more?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for sure. So essentially, you know, Title IX.
Izzy, I hate to do this, but can you just repeat the question? For the
Yeah,
virtual
yeah, of
people?
course, of course. So my question was, I'm currently working on a story around Harvard's Title IX policies, specifically, you know, reporting or filing complaints from one school to another, and the challenges that students have experienced through that process. And so essentially, I guess like my question is, if you yourself have encountered difficulties with that process and you have opinions, or if you're a member of any sort of Title IX committees or boards and you're working to make that process more accessible for students, like I'd be really interested to hear your opinion. I think that in terms of like what Title IX policy encompasses, it can be a range of things. Some of the most like traditional areas that Title IX encompasses is like sexual harassment, sexual assault on campus, but it can also encompass a range of other violations or, you know, forms of misconduct. And I think that even just the definition of what it encompasses, that's something that the university sometimes doesn't make clear. So yeah, if any of you have opinions or experiences and you'd be willing to share, please shoot me a Slack or just send me an email. Yeah.
Okay, anyone virtual have any questions for Izzy? Anyone in person?
What deadlines are you looking for HGC? Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, I feel like a journalist's response is always the earliest we can have it is optimal. It's a story that we've been working on for a little bit. So ideally, like if we could speak, and again, like these interviews are really short typically. So, you know, if we could speak, I guess, like in the coming days, maybe by the end of this week, that would be really optimal. If that can't happen and you still have opinions and you still really want to share, obviously we can make something happen as well early next week. Yeah. And like Zoom is totally fine. I did all of my interviews on Zoom last year and it worked beautifully. So if you don't want to meet in person, that's totally fine as well.
Guys, I apologize because today's the first meeting, but.
Recording in progress.
Sorry. Okay, guys. So I know that we're just experimenting here because we're trying out technology. I noticed that it's hard for you guys to hear peripheral conversations. I'm going to try and pass around my phone. I logged into Zoom here, so maybe that'll work as a microphone. But yeah, let's move on to the next person. So thank you, Izzy, so much. She has been wonderful, and her articles are also on the Crimson, and she's written about us last semester, and she's absolutely fantastic. So if you get a chance to talk to her, she's a lovely person and an amazing journalist. But let's move on to Matt. Oh, Gabe. Okay, Gabe, what's your question?
I was just gonna say I can hear pretty well. I could actually hear kind of the comments coming from the peanut gallery. So I don't know if you need to pass around your phone.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for that. Matt, you are up.
All right. Hi, everybody. Hello, all of you. So as I mentioned when I was introducing myself, my name is Matt. I'm on the executive board of the Harvard Graduate Students Union. In addition to the other various hats I wear, I've also been on our student government for the chemistry department and for GSAS. So been in a lot of these sorts of meetings. We often run meetings with Robert's Rules with like 100 people in them, super fun. But the reason I wanted to come here today to talk to you all is that many of you are probably aware that there is a strike authorization vote going on right now that HGSU members are voting in. Many of you may be HGSU members yourselves. And I just want to talk about that real quick, but also sort of more broadly, the ways that I think HGC and HGSU can really work together in a lot of constructive ways. We are two of the only organizations on campus that actually represent people from almost every single school at Harvard. We do, I think, include members from every single school at Harvard, including the college. And so I think it's really valuable, you know, there are a lot of things that HGSU can do because we are an independent organization. We are not a student group that gets funding from the university. Members pay dues to support our operations. And that's what makes it possible for us to do things like have benefit funds where we help people pay for your dental care and childcare and things like that. But there are also a lot of things that HGC and other types of student groups can do that we can't do because we aren't a Harvard student organization in the same way. So look forward to this being the first of many meetings that we have together to talk about how to work together. The strike authorization vote that many of you have heard about is, there are a lot of reasons for it, but the main two are really around what we're calling real recourse. It's very appropriate that Izzy was just talking about issues with the Title IX process. One of the main things that workers at Harvard have been asking for many years has been a process to deal with harassment and discrimination claims that people experience that doesn't go through an internal university process where the person making the decision is not an employee of the university. And union contracts typically have an arbitration clause in them. And until now, all forms of sexual and gender-based and other power-based harassment have been carved out of that in our contract. And so we'd like that to change. And then the other issue is on raises that people are paid. Right now, our raises are still lower than the amount of inflation. And so that's sort of effectively a pay cut. And so that's another thing that we'd like to see some larger raises since the endowment did very well last year. And most importantly, I think a lot of the things we're talking about, while we technically only represent student workers, so while you are employed, we're talking about benefits that we hope will redound to the benefit of everyone at the university. So for example, there will be a new cheaper dental plan available next year that is available to all students because we have been demanding it for the past 3 years at the bargaining table. If you guys are not members and would like to become one, please come talk to me. It's very easy. You just sign up online. And I'm always happy to answer questions about anything HGSU related. As I mentioned, I am our financial secretary, so I can speak in more detail, especially about financial matters if you have those questions. And I'll hang around for the rest of the meeting. So please also feel free to come talk to me one-on-one afterwards if you would like to. And Himija has my email and can put you in touch with me directly. Okay, cool. So that's my little spiel. Any questions that I can answer now? Yeah.
Sorry, again, I just like looking for some context. So you said that the sexual harassment and discrimination is kind of taken out of the contract. So are you saying that right now there's just no recourse whatsoever?
So it's right. So for a bit of context, for those who couldn't hear the question, we're just asking for more context on what it means to have that section on harassment and discrimination be carved out of our contract. So right now, for example, we can bring grievances through our contract. So for example, actually at the GSD, a bunch of workers were underpaid last summer. We brought a grievance. We threatened to go to arbitration over that, which the university doesn't like, because then they have to abide by this decision that an arbitrator makes. And we settled it, and all of those people got a bunch of money in back pay. Right now, what happens is we essentially have to go through, we can't bring grievances. There's an article in our contract that says the university believes harassment and discrimination are bad. But there is a line that says nothing in this article can be filed under the grievance procedure. You have to go through Title IX and the Office of Dispute Resolution, things like that. I should mention that many schools actually have better processes for this. So for example, at HLS, as maybe our HLS representatives can tell us more about, when you bring certain types of harassment and discrimination claims, HLS actually pays for you to have legal counsel to support you in that process. HLS is the only school that does that. And so one of the things we're trying to do is make sure that all student workers and ideally all students at Harvard have access to those same kinds of benefits, whether or not you are a member of the union.
And then maybe we'll take just one more question if there's any from the virtual.
I think
group.
Izzy might have had one.
Oh,
sorry.
I think I really liked your point about how there are certain things that the union can do given their capacities, and then the council as well. Obviously don't have to have a concrete answer to this right now, but were there any sort of potential directions or certain areas that you all were like most interested in collaborating with, given the council's ability to do certain things? Or is it sort of a broader kind of desire to collaborate as of now?
I think no matter what, going forward, I will be hopefully constantly in contact about all kinds of issues that are facing students and workers at every school that we can continue to work on. Obviously, right now, because we're having this strike authorization vote, we hope that you all continue to make your networks aware that this is happening and of the importance of participating. So that's our focus at the moment, but hope this, we're working together on many things in the future.
And can you send us the link so that way we can distribute it through our networks? To make
Yes,
sure that people
absolutely.
get
I will send you lots of links.
Perfect.
So many of them.
Okay, sounds
Okay,
good. So we're
cool.
actually gonna wrap up the conversation there. Thank you so much. If you guys have any questions, we're gonna leave the contact information on the minutes, so feel free to reach out. But with that, let's move on to our last speaker, William from CES.
In that case, I'm not going to take the questions. It's just going to be a one-minute pitch. So some of you may have heard about the ongoing opioid epidemic crisis in the United States that is fueled by a company called Purdue Pharma. There's a big family that's really also behind it, the Sackler family. And one of their patriarchs, Arthur Sackler, is the namesake for one of the museums at Harvard for Asian art, right across the street from HDS, GSD. And I figured this out because I was looking at Google Maps, figuring out how to get here. And so I think it's a little bit weird that Harvard has a museum dedicated to someone who has basically helped fuel the opioid epidemic in the United States. This is mostly maybe a point for the advocacy team, but maybe this is something we want to talk to, or we want to advocate for renaming or removing or striking the name from the museum, because it is, it's a disgrace and really doesn't damage Harvard's name too much, but it's still a disgrace. Thank you.
Mark says, this has long bothered me. Thank you for bringing it up.
William, can you repeat the name of the museum?
Arthur Sackler Art Museum, the Harvard Arthur, something like that. Arthur Sackler, I think.
Did I spell that right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Gabe, for the sake of time, we're gonna not take questions on this one, but feel free to Slack William, and let's use full advantage of our Slack now that we're all kicking things into high gear. So jumping straight into reports, general remarks from the president. Yeah, I mean, welcome to our first meeting. I know this is like a very weird thing, but I'm glad that we're all working through it and figuring out a way to do it. I'd say whenever we have topics that we can't discuss at full length because HGC is so rich of conversation, let's make full use of our Slacks, and let's throw in comments, and you guys can even have group conversations amongst each other, which is different than WhatsApp. And sometimes we'll have little polls like saying, use this reaction if you are in favor, or use this reaction if you're against. So I think there's some things, like a really trivial example is that we're thinking of maybe making the executive reports a print version instead of during HGC meetings. That's still in conversation, but if that's something you're interested in, saying yes or no to, it might be something worth, voting on. But yeah, let's take advantage of our new channel, and yeah, we think Slack has a lot of potential. But other than that, I'm gonna pass it off to Himaja.
So just wanted to, and actually this kind of bleeds into the operations stuff since we are multitasking. So one thing that we wanted to emphasize is that, okay, there we go. Perfect, thank you. So HGC elections are taking place on October 4th, and it's really, really important that we get a lot of rep support around this, just because this is kind of our big night. If we have qualified people who are coming to be elected, we'll have a stronger board. So it's really important that we continue outreach, that we really build that momentum. So we're asking our reps to continue spreading the word. We have a few graphics. I can resend those. So just post that on your social medias, really work with your student governments to get this in school newsletters and things like that. We extended the deadline to not Wednesday, it's now Saturday, the 2nd, there we go, thank you. Saturday, October 2nd, which will hopefully give us enough time to recruit more people and get more applications in. We currently have a lot of positions open. I believe currently it's 7 positions open. We have our chair of operations, chair of finance, chair of governance, chair of student groups, chair of policy. And those are only a few that I can think of off the top of my head. So definitely please share this information and try to get as many people to apply as possible. And that is, I believe, all I have to say about elections. We're currently, I'm figuring out the logistics of elections. So HBS, I know we have you on the schedule for hosting elections. We'll decide whether we want to go fully virtual or with a hybrid nature. And so we'll have those discussions offline to really make sure that we're helping you book your rooms and get that prepared for the day of. But election day is it's a really fun day where we have everyone come in and whoever is up for a certain position, I'll give like a 2 to 3 minute speech about why they think they're good for the position. Afterwards, it's up to you guys as voting reps to vote for whoever you think is best. And so based on that, we select one of the positions and then we move on to the next position. And so anyone who technically doesn't get, for example, the position they ran for, can run on the floor for another position if they haven't indicated already that they are interested in it. And people can run for several positions, as you can see in the application. So we tend to get a lot of really excited people. It's going to be a long night, so just be prepared for that. But we'll try to wrap it up sooner rather than later. Anything else about elections?
Well, the only other thing is we did do a Zoom informational session. So if you're very new to HGC and elections in general, we're going to be uploading that video and Nemo will let you know on Slack where that link is. And it'll also be on our website, and we'll put it all of our social media. There's going to be a lot of little nuanced questions, as in how many positions can I apply for, which you can apply for all of them if you'd like. And How much time do I have to speak and all these other like little things. What does precedence mean? We're making an FAQ like sheet, and that we're gonna publish that as well for anyone who is like unfamiliar with how the election process works. The last thing that I just want to say, especially because there's a lot of new reps that are involved. Oh, sorry, Jennifer, you're not talking. Hi. But for anyone who are like new reps involved, that you've just never gone through elections before, each rep, or sorry, let me rephrase that. We have a philosophy of one school, one vote. So each group of rep per school can collectively decide on one vote, and it's 1 out of 12 votes. And so the elections is done by the representatives. And for anyone who is wondering, executive board members do not have any voting power. So it's really all up to you guys as to who you want on your next exec board.
Exactly. So just to emphasize Peter's point, so for example, there are some schools that have more than one rep, but at the end of the day, all 12 schools get 1 vote each. So that's how we typically run elections. So feel free, and we really encourage all our reps to show up on the day of. So that way, if you have more than 1 rep, you can really bounce ideas off each other to make sure that the vote you're putting forth is one of a general consensus. And also, just to note, because I forgot to mention this, we actually have 2 elections. So this is our fall election, which is why some of our positions are up for election. And then next spring, we have another round of positions that are open then. So this is kind of our fall election where we have some of our positions open. So that's why we tend to have 2. Yeah, William?
Yeah, so last year we suspended the requirement that anyone who's running to be here in person. Can you elaborate more on whether we decided to extend that to this year?
So this is actually a question we are going to hopefully get your feedback on today, but us as an executive board, I believe we were leaning towards doing it a hybrid. So if someone couldn't be here on the day of, especially if their degree program is virtual at this moment, since they would technically be serving in a virtual environment, they would be able to kind of pitch virtually. So it would be kind of the same rules that we have currently for our reps.
Yep. Yeah, so if your program is in person, we definitely encourage you to be here, especially if you're running for elections. But otherwise, if you're virtual, I mean, you guys are part of the Harvard community as much as anyone else. So yeah.
Exactly. Any other questions regarding elections? Yeah.
Just a request. If
Yeah.
you just send all the materials on the Slack so we can forward it on to them.
Absolutely, yes. So we have flyers that we're trying to send out. We have the link to the application. We really want to get as many people excited about this as possible. And so I'll definitely send that information. And it's just a really great way to be able to serve our university in general. And so just really emphasizing the importance of that, I think has been really helpful with Peter and I when we were doing like our orientation events.
Serving the students of our university.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And so that's it for elections. And then the other thing I did want to mention is that currently our HGC retreat, I've planned it for Saturday, October 16th. I was going to plan it for the long weekend, but a lot of people are going to be gone during the long weekend. And so we figured that this might be a good time to host it. If anyone is interested in helping to plan this said retreat, because we are currently understaffed, please let me know. I would really appreciate it. But yeah, that is kind of it. And this retreat will be, well, it'll have multiple components, but the most important one is really making sure that we're coming together as a general council with our voting representatives, with our exec board, to collectively come up with a list of goals and set priorities so that moving forward, we have a better sense of what we want to achieve as a council and how we can do that. And that's all I have.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, the most important thing, please fill out the reimbursement form because you should get reimbursed. And it's up on top, the reimbursement form.
One question from Slack was, what category does it go under?
What category? Oh, okay. So originally, and actually, Brett, if you wanted to answer this too, if I get it wrong, But typically, if you are a rep, it shouldn't matter what category you put it in.
Well, why don't we walk through it really
Yeah,
quick,
actually,
just for
that might
people
be
who are
helpful.
new? So if
Right
you,
there.
yep, right here.
Will it show up?
Yep. So you just have to fill this form out, and then for the category, I would put it under operations. And then we can just lump that all under there, and then we'll know. The easiest thing to distinguish it is in descriptions, put down HGC General Counsel, just so we know what it's for. And then maybe like dash, representative or something, just so we have as much detail as possible for that.
And also the date of that general meeting, yeah.
Yeah, and then so you'll have the expense date, you'll have your email, you have your name and the total expense amount, and then the reimbursement method. And then you have to take a photo of your receipt and upload it. And then you can click yes to certify. Something that Brett did last year that's kind of awesome. So shout out to Brett. He was our chair of finance last year. But if you guys don't want to like buy meals, you can just take a photo of your grocery receipt and it will just reimburse you the appropriate amount. As long as you've attended the council. So yeah, just something for you to think about. And then all the reimbursements will be done like either at the end of one semester or at the end of the entire school year. So just anticipate that if you're concerned about when your reimbursements are going to come in. Okay, so we can just do them all in bulk. Hopefully it's going to be at the end of each semester though.
Exactly. And just to emphasize what Peter said, you do have to attend meetings in order to get reimbursed. So just a little flag.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Is the retreat person? So the retreat will be hybrid. So it's going to be exactly the same rules that we have currently. If your degree program is remote, then we would never expect you to come in person. If you have a degree program that's currently in person, we would love for you to attend in person. If there are extenuating circumstances, just let me know. But yeah, we'll plan for it to be hybrid. So we'll have people on Zoom, we'll have people in person. We'll make sure that it adheres to COVID guidelines, a little bit more from a public health standpoint, that's important. And so we'll make sure that it's a seamless transition. But yeah, it'll be hybrid.
Is it still $20 for the day? For reimbursement?
For reimbursement, exactly. So typically, like, we'll just look at like the day of when the receipt was from, and then that should be fine.
Sorry, one last question for elections. If it's gonna be like a really long one, is it possible to try and get a space so we can eat just as like it feels like?
No, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
We typically, so election night, like ideally is from 7 to 9, just like the same as our normal meetings, but 9 is also really late too. So, and oftentimes it goes beyond 9 for election day, just inevitably. So yeah, that's a really good point. I'll work out the logistics on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And if anyone is kind of concerned about like COVID related conversations, just so you all know, like, Himaja and I have done some thorough work in speaking with our advisors, from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences Student Center. And, we are adhering to like square meterage in a room per capacity level, and we're trying to space everyone apart appropriately. So we will give you definitely enough space to social distance while you enjoy your meals if you choose to do that. Okay. All right. Anyone virtually have any questions? Okay, and then this might be a little bit late, but I'm just catching up here on the chat. Gabe said, basically, I'm just going to agree and say if there's an ad hoc committee around this, I'm happy to sit on it. Constantine said ditto. I'm assuming that has to do with the student union. Is that right? Okay, wonderful. Yeah.
That's amazing.
He gave us a thumbs up. Okay. All right. So let's move on to Xavier.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's been really lovely to meet you all today, especially because my entire job requires collaboration to the maximum. Like, I want to be talking to y'all and just hearing your perspective. So I'll give you a rundown of a few things that are kind of on my radar now. And of course, like, you guys will be fundamental in building out the advocacy agenda for the year. So one of the things that I'll be doing kind of in that collaborative spirit is taking a few things that are kind of on my radar. For example, the college is thinking about getting rid of shopping week. Some of the advocates from the college are kind of pushing back against that. And then on the other kind of end of things, graduate students who are teaching fellows are saying, well, actually the shopping week kind of puts our employment in limbo. And then the college students wrote a retort. So what I'll be doing is taking all of that and putting it into an infographic sort of thing, and just putting it on our channel and asking for your guys' opinions, advice, or I'm all for finding an option C that kind of works for everybody. And so I'm really looking forward to getting your guys' ideas on that, and just hearing your amazing creative ideas on things like that. There are also some COVID related advocacy things that are kind of still on the table, some compensatory, that word's not working for me today, but some mechanisms to kind of, for students who were virtual all last year or who were virtual for most of their Harvard experience, looking for ways to kind of supplement that. So that's one of the other things that are on the agenda: email access, all things like that. And then the big project, especially as we're moving back onto campus, is working with all of you and kind of just staying in tune to what's going on at all of the schools, and kind of seeing what advocacy issues are coming up, which ones are really shared amongst a lot of the community, the broader Harvard community, and figuring out how to kind of get some movement on some of those things that are coming up in our broader community. So to that end, I will be also assembling a committee. So if you're interested in helping with advocacy, kind of on any one of those issues, I'll be looking for a committee of about 6 to 8 people, I think. And in addition, one of the other things that I think is on the agenda for me is I also kind of do the external advocacy committee. So we'll deal with Harvard policies, and then the external advocacy is state, local, and federal policies that impact graduate students. And so I will also probably put, I love making infographics. So I'll probably put a little graphic out about what the external advocacy committee is. If you know people on your campus that are already doing that work, just stay on the beat and direct them to me. Or if you yourself want to take part in that, I'm not sure if you can do both, but yeah, I think that's all from me. Thank you all. It's nice to meet you guys.
Thanks, Xavier. And just wanted to flag, oh, absolutely. If you are interested in serving on the committee, I'm definitely let Xavier know. And serving on the committee isn't just limited to people in HGC. So, for example, with the External Advocacy Committee, which was kind of created last year with our chair of advocacy, that was something that any student could serve on, regardless of whether they were part of HGC or not. So it's a really great opportunity to kind of get the wider university community involved with this.
Yeah.
I have a question about the shopping week. Why? I was wondering what the issue is with, why do they want to get rid of shopping week, and what is the discussion around it? I may not be informed, but.
Oh. For 3 minutes, but I will my project for myself this week is to kind of because it's a lot of reading. It's to just basically condense that, so in one graphic you'll be able to look at it and tell
Okay, no worries.
pretty much what's going on. And I'm always happy to broaden up or have a follow-up conversation, just to clarify those things.
No worries, I'll wait on it.
Yeah.
Can I give it a shot in 30 seconds?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so real quick also, Xavier, if you want to go longer, there's 2 questions for that exact thing, and my answer shouldn't take that long, so I can give you some minutes.
That works actually, yeah.
Okay.
Why don't we take a virtual question? Constantine. Oh, Constantine, give me a second. I stepped on our plug and we have to get reconnected.
You're okay.
Xavier, do you want to explain the question that you were asked right now? Let's explain.
Yeah, because I also have the same question about, yeah, I'd be curious to hear that. I know you mentioned that you could give it a shot for any IP.
Yeah, do you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, so one of the things that changed during COVID was shopping week itself, because students no longer went to classes. So over the course of COVID, shopping week, which was basically a week where students dropped in classes, which is something they wanted to take, was replaced by the first class. This changes the way enrollment works, because previously checks were allocated based on your interest, and then subsequently reallocated based on results. For example, or have more students that were previously allocated, they would have MTS, If a class had fewer students than was previously allocated for, it would have fewer TFs. This meant if you're teaching a class that ended up with much lower enrollment than anticipated, your job would be. So that's the kind of the students. Nope.
Sorry, I tried.
Sorry, am I being quiet? I can use my cops.
No, it's okay. Let me try doing this.
More people.
31.
Okay. Was that really? Can y'all hear me now?
No, you're good. You're good.
Were you able to hear the first bit? Okay, I'm just gonna start over. Okay, so shopping week is first week of the semester where undergrads get to take look at the classes for each different block. Each class is usually about 45 minutes to an hour, so they spend about 15 minutes each class for a block, and they get to see if they want to actually take that class. At the end of shopping week, they decide their actual registration system. And so at the end of shopping week, that is when TF allocations are finally made. This means that a class that ends up with a lot more interest than its initial anticipation gets more TF allocations. Consequently, though, on the other side, a class that has much lower enrollment than anticipated ends up with fewer TF allocations, which means the TF that was previously hired might now be fired. And that's the effect on graduate students. The reason why the college wants to get rid of this, I don't know, it happened during COVID. I guess they just don't want to change it back. I'm not sure the details on for why they want to get rid of it permanently.
So I can add a little bit of detail. So basically this conversation came up from Noah Harris. So Noah Harris and Jenny Gann are the president and VP of the Undergraduate Council, and Himaja and I are doing some work this year to get in close relationship with them to make sure that we can have joint university-wide initiatives. And so what happened was during COVID, everything was virtual, and they figured the shopping week is just 1 week-long period where you can take classes, but it's non-punitive. So other schools kind of have an odd drop period, like all the graduate schools have an odd drop period. But the reason why this is unique to Harvard is because you don't actually have lectures or assignments that you need to catch up on if you miss the first couple of days. Whereas for other graduate schools at Harvard, if you miss the first 3 days of odd drop, that lecture still might be part of your exam, or you might have an assignment that's assigned that day. So one of the reasons why the administration wants to get rid of shopping week was they did it during COVID because they're like, everything's virtual, it's easier that way. And the administration just drafted up a document stating the reason why their decision is justified. And the concern right now on the graduate side is basically if, let's say there's 200 people that's enrolled into calculus or introduction to economics, and 50 people take advantage of this opportunity and drop out all of a sudden, then if you're in a PhD program, part of your teaching stipend is governed by the sections that you teach. Or that's how I understand it. So PhDs, Mark and William, feel free to correct me here. And the issue is that when 50 people drop out all of a sudden out of 200, you might lose an entire section. And in that case, then you might lose your teaching opportunity, which impacts your salaries and things like that. Noah Harris, the president, is kind of making a position saying, listen, it's actually not that big of a difference. And so he wrote up his own document that I'm happy to sort of circulate, and Xavier will help facilitate that conversation. But from the way that I read it at the moment, and maybe it's because I don't fully understand it, and I'd love Xavier to do a deeper dive into this conversation, is that I actually think that it benefits graduate students, because if you don't have shopping week, then the sections are more predictable, which is what the administration is saying. So I don't want to drag this out too long because for the sake of time. Yeah, so we'll have Xavier say one more thing here, and then we're gonna move on to the next section here, okay?
So based on what everybody said, you can see that it's a little tricky because the undergraduates are really pushing for this, but it might not be in the best interest of our graduate students, PhDs. So I'll present the information to you guys. And then what I'm really hoping is if we put all our brains together, we can come up with like an option C that will, because as Peter was saying, we're trying to develop a really good relationship with the undergraduate council. So we want to start off on a good foot. And if we can move in a creative direction with this and find a solution that would work for everybody and be in the best interest of our students and allow the students the benefit of the shopping week, that would be ideal. And so I'll be working to get that brief to you. And then of course, like we'll have, if you want to do more extensive reading on it, you're welcome to, and we'll provide that as well. But yeah, I would just love to kind of like, just if you have a spare moment when you're walking across campus or sitting down to just give this a think and see if, maybe, and I know like, especially as grad students, we're in a good position to do this because we've gone to different colleges and seen how things work. So maybe, like a solution might dawn on you that maybe the undergraduate council wouldn't have the opportunity to interact with. So that's kind of what's going on there. And I'll be in touch with more information on the Slack channel.
For everyone, sorry, I'm gonna just steal 2 more minutes of your time. So one other thing that was mentioned through like emails and Slack conversations, with the new amendment of our HGC representatives going proportional for representation, some people were concerned, hey, if there's only one rep for my school, how can someone else get involved? So we can't have that school elect a second position formally into HGC, but if there is a second person that would love to get involved in a variety of ways. Of course, all of our meetings are public, even though they can't participate in conversation, they can speak during open forum. The other thing is our external advocacy committee has traditionally had people outside of HGC, but all these other community committee opportunities, talk to the respective chairs, and if they're okay with it, we can definitely encourage more people of the Harvard graduate student body to be involved. So that's something that I do want to encourage in case people do want to get involved, and I don't want to restrict that involvement. The other quick plug that I want to make about advocacy that Xavier is working on is there is a conversation about alumni emails. So for people who had the alumni.harvard.edu emails, just so you guys know, real SparkNote version is that email wasn't an inbox. So it didn't store any data. It was simply a forwarding email. And when COVID happened, one of the big conversations, and if you guys were involved last year at HGC, this was part of our resolution, a really big conversation was, well, we would really love an extension of our harvard.edu emails because it's helpful for jobs. And with COVID, this is a really dire situation, so it'd be helpful. The Harvard University administration has agreed to get rid of the alumni.harvard.edu emails because it was a forwarding system and not an inbox storage system. And it's a very outdated thing that our peer institutions don't use. So our peer institutions, they do have alumni emails, except it is an inbox storage system. So right now what Harvard's trying to do is they're trying to figure out exactly how to handle that situation. So there's a task force being created, and Nima actually sits on the Harvard University IT Student Advisory Committee. And I think that this is going to be an interesting information advocacy joint effort as to how you're going to move forward and observe other peer institutions and how they're resolving the situation. All we know at this time as a temporary measure is that the school.harvard.edu emails are being extended for 1 year, as you saw in Provost Garber's email to the entire university. So just adhere and understand that those guidelines are set in stone for this year to help people out until we can sort of figure out how all this works. I do want to emphasize this is where graduate voices are so important, because you will be setting a precedent for how our graduate emails and IT and all that related stuff works in the future, okay? So again, let's keep the conversation going on Slack. Feel free to message Xavier, feel free to message the general Slack channel, but I'm gonna turn this over to Nima so you can give us information update.
Perfect segue. So as Peter mentioned, I'm on the HUIC task force. We have yet to meet so far. It's going to be scheduled sometime in October. As soon as that happens, I'll come back with information updates, but in the meantime, start asking around. It's good to talk about this email thing with your individual schools because it sort of bubbles up naturally through the channels up to the provost office. The big thing is, in addition to switching us over to Slack, I'm also bringing in Trello as a good way to do project management for us, just because HGC handles a lot of different things and it can easily be opaque and amorphous. So join up with that link. We're going to be setting up a board starting this week to just handle these different subcommittees, see where items are at, see where they're moving, and see who's on them. If anyone's ever used those kinds of tools, they should be familiar. So I won't go too far into that, but if you have questions about that, message me on Slack. Next thing is, I think everything's squared away with Slack. Social media, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, join HGC, follow us on Instagram, as well as we have a LinkedIn. And then I'll do, if anyone uses that, join the LinkedIn. And then elections has been covered. The last thing I want to say is foreshadowing. As soon as we have a communications person, we're going to be looking into doing sort of a branding update, kind of bringing in the website and updating that, seeing how that can work with HUIT, which is coming communication with, and also getting a new logo. So get ready for some cleanup crew work happening later this semester. But great to meet everyone.
And so to clarify, new
Yeah.
logo for HGC.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Okay, cool.
Anticipating hopefully this semester.
And quick plug for those HLS peeps out there, the current logo, before we get the new one, we did put in your HLS logo in there.
Yes, so I'll mention that HLS has gone through a new crest/seal. If you notice an HGC logo that's older, all the new ones have this new seal. It's actually really gorgeous. If you see one of the blank ones, just let us know. Otherwise, that's now the one. I love this slide. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, and with that, Estefania from Chicago calling in.
Hi,
You're
everyone.
up, caller.
Great. So first, as you know, we are going to have the Grad Fest in October. So I hope everyone is very excited for that. We have very interesting activities. We have a planned giveaway that actually Mark joined. Thank you so much for volunteering. If anyone else wants to volunteer for this event, just let us know. We still have a time, like more like 3 spaces for each planned giveaway. So just send me a Slack, or I put my cell phone in my signature. So just let me know. The other thing is we're going to have a couple of in-person events. We're going to have the Trial Fit Cardio. So if you want to bring some specific communication about your school, about your student group, let us know. We're more than open to have a space for you. So just let me know if you're interested. And also we expect that you will join. And there are going to be another, we're going to have yoga. We're going to have a games night, Harvard versus MIT. So I really want to see everyone there. So we're excited. And we are expecting to have an in-person Grad Fest in April of next year. So if you know about someone who will be interested in do performance, I know it's quite early, but it will be, just let us know so we can invite them to perform in the in-person Grad Fest. If you have any questions about the agenda or about like a specific date, I can share the link with all the Grad Fest information. We also have communication materials. So if any one of you wants to share the communication through your channels, let us know. I can send the communication material. Yeah, and I hope you enjoy the Grad Fest this year. Now, the second thing is we are creating the Student Life Committee. So Brett from HES is joined, and I really want to see more of you. So we have so many good events that we're going to plan for this year. So we always like to partner with Medicine in Motion, with the Harvard Bow Challenge. We have Data Match, that is our like institutional Valentine's Day activity. So I really want to see more of you working with us. And if you have any ideas about potential events, just contact me. So if you want to join the Student Life Committee, send me either a Slack or an email. Any questions? No? Well, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefania.
Sorry, Estefania, did you mention a website or?
She did it, but
Yeah. So I can paste that. So just give me 1 second and I paste the link of the website.
You're amazing, Estefania. Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, we have one question.
Do you have some sort of poster in addition to the website link that we could circulate to the schools right now? Because I did put out the website link, but it doesn't kind of outline all the events there are and like dates. It'd be nice to have some kind of graphic, if possible, that tells you which is in person, what date, like one poster maybe. Is that possible?
Yeah, we have, it's all digital, but definitely I can share the posters in Slack. So, or I can send that by email to all reps, so you're going to have it.
Beautiful, thank you.
Just
Sure.
a quick things that just came up for Slack. We're going to start using the general section more often. That'll be a good way to get any sort of upcoming things, more advanced notice for meetings, and then also rep specific channels if you're a rep. If you have noticed that you're not on that channel, it's me. Otherwise, there's one that is closed. It's not able to see anyone who's outside of the exact board and reps. But otherwise, everything else in general communications, marketing materials are put there. Other open topics, that one's open to anyone to listen to. Just as a little back of house.
For the virtual people, I saw your faces. The SparkNote summary of that is we're going to try and use our general channel more. It goes to everyone.
A good place for any kind of announcements.
All right. Yeah. So William asked to put links into the minutes. So yeah, if you guys are ever trying to go back to some sort of like email link, I'm trying to contact that person because I'm really interested in that initiative, all this stuff will be in the minutes. So feel free to refer back to it because it's a pretty valuable resource for HGC. But with that, let's move on to, oh, me. Hi. Okay. So, oh, yep, we have one question.
In regards to Slack, to clarify, who gets to be on the general channel?
General, anyone.
Any student from.
Yeah, at large. Rep is a specific smaller channel, but we can hopefully cross post.
And will that be, is that already?
It's already instantiated. Yeah, all those are already in place.
Yeah, so the question was, who can be part of the general channel? We have a separate rep channel. We have a separate exec board channel. We have like this huge fun underground network. So you guys can make as many channels as you want. I'm going to regret that later. But the general is open to a lot of people. Like, for example, our HGSU rep and Izzy are on it. So our liaisons are on that as well. So great place to reach out to everybody. Okay, but yeah, with that, let's go to me. That sounds terrible. But yeah, so for those of you guys who are wondering just about the finance update, I am providing it. And as you've noticed also in our elections, we do have our chair of operations and finance open. So those are up for election at this time. But right now what I'm doing is I'm working closely with Marshall to draft up a report for the FY 2020 and 21 actuals. And basically the provost office would like to see it just to see what our expense and spending looked like last year. And it sort of helps them go, oh, okay, you guys are doing pretty amazing stuff. It looks like you're doing a lot of, social and bonding and outreach efforts and university-wide initiatives and advocacy work. The money's being put to good use. So we'd love to sort of fund HGC again. And then Himoja and I are also working on the 21 and 22 estimates so that we can also work with Marshall on that as well. So if you join the exec board, you'll get to do fun things like that.
And just to quickly note on this, so we'll be voting on the fiscal year 21 to 22 budget soon. And so that'll be one of the consent items that we will have council vote on with our voting reps, hopefully within the next couple meetings, because we got to get that done soon.
Okay. And since Himoja did an awesome job with allocating times, I see a new person in the room. Do you want to introduce yourself to HGC? Do you want to come up with virtual people? So do you want to come up here?
I'm sorry?
We have some virtual people. So do you want to come up here to the camera? We're just introducing everyone today.
Well, hi everyone, I'm Scala. I'm just here at the GSC, my first year in the MARC1 program, and I thought I'd just stop by and see what's happening. So
We're so excited.
Wonderful. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have one more person, Peter.
Oh, hi. Yeah, come up here.
Hi, I'm Jada. I'm a first year mom. And that's it.
So glad you could join us. And with that, action items, please email me and Himaja if you would like to be, oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, let me pop this open. Yeah. This is a good conversation topic. Sorry, we should have put this into the executive update, but it is good to sort of talk about this now. Here. Boom. Okay.
Perfect.
So, guys, in the spirit of Himaja and I living up to what we said that we would in our campaign speeches, we are working, we worked all summer to meet with so many different student groups, so many different Harvard University administrative groups. And basically, one of the things that our objective was is how do we get student voices to the decision-making table? So right now, 4 groups have kind of given us a soft yes. Some of them are a hard yes, like the Office for Gender Equity is giving us a student ex officio slot, one for the graduate student and one for the undergraduate council. So you are guaranteed a seat in representing HGC if you are in. So if that, really sparks a fire in your belly and that gets you excited, we are going to send this form out just to see, if you guys are interested in getting involved on other Harvard committees and representing the entire graduate student voice. And then, we'd love for you to be the liaison. So similar to, how Izzy's part of the Crimson and we have our Chuck Little's our student union representative, and he's also our rep. We want more liaisons going to different representations at Harvard. So yeah, Himaja and I were both on the Title IX committee last year before it got rebranded, and they are fantastic people, and they're doing some really cool things. So the deadline is approaching very, very soon. We said we are going to give them an answer by tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. So if you're interested, Slack us or tell us, or maybe we'll make this form go live, but notify us in any way. And then, we might ask you, I don't know, a couple quick questions or something about what sparks your passion for, Title IX and gender equity related conversations. And then Himaja and I, and maybe the exec board, if we have enough time, we'll get input and then we will make a decision. So there's that. We are working with the Harvard University Police Department, super exciting. So there's always been a graduate representative and there's always been an undergrad representative. And we said, oh, that's funny. There's a grad representative and the student government didn't know about them. We're like, can we have that seat? And then they're like, sure. So, that's in the works. The Harvard University library system is super excited to work with us because one of the COVID resolutions that Abinaya worked on last year that was fantastic was if we can't lower tuition during COVID, can we find other compensatory mechanisms to help out Harvard students? And the library system was like, oh my God, student voice, we love that. And so one of the topics was, can we get free membership for anyone who was impacted by Harvard? And can you go to all the libraries at Harvard if you're that sort of person? So I think that's a wonderful opportunity. And their executive leadership at the entire university system is giving us a graduate seat on that committee. So it's a really cool opportunity. And even if maybe books don't spark your interest, which would be funny because you're all at Harvard. They also deal with business too, right? Their curatorial collection is absolutely insane, and all the rare books, and they do some really, really, really cool stuff, guys. And they're very excited about having us involved. So I highly recommend it. Radcliffe also has an interdisciplinary student advisory board. So this is more of a student board, but they all also are guaranteeing us a graduate seat, which we're really excited about. So if you really love interdisciplinary stuff, how can you combine design and medicine and engineering together? Actually, that makes sense. I was trying to put together something weird. How can you put together divinity and design together? And you're like, whoa, there's a cool project or an idea. Those sort of initiatives, which are really exciting. Radcliffe is your home. So a lot of really interesting scholars are there. And it's a really great place to sort of work with. And I've worked with them personally. Kristen Cravat is an amazing woman. And that kind of sums it up. But there are other things that Himaja and I are looking at, like the environmental committees. If you guys have any ideas in particular that you're interested in, please let us know. And I guess I'll just throw this on the recording, but my biggest initiative right now, as I said in the campaign speech last year, is trying to get a student graduate seat on the Board of Overseers, which for those of you who are from other schools, it is the equivalent of the board of trustees at any other university. Cornell, Duke, they have a student seat. For them though, it's like if you're not a student, after you've graduated, you're guaranteed to serve there for 2 years. Everyone has different permutations. Harvard doesn't have a student seat yet, and I think it's a really valuable place that a student can get a voice in. And Noah, Harris, and I are also working together on that, so we can get an undergraduate seat on that committee as well, or board as well. So yeah, that's all of that. Does anyone have any questions, virtual or on site? William?
Sorry, OGE advisory board, we have what, like 12, like 16 hours to fill it?
That's right, TikTok. No, so we made this form like maybe 10 minutes ago.
So technically, so you can fill out the form and we'll make it live, or probably the best thing to do is just message either Peter and I, and just include a few sentences for why you want to get involved. And then that way, if we have more than one person who does want to get involved, we can kind of make a decision based on that. But time is of the essence because we really want to make sure we're getting as many people as possible declaring their interest. So that way we have time in order for us to, by tomorrow afternoon, tell our contact at the Office of Gender Equity who we want to serve on behalf of HGC.
Yeah, we'll make this like a checklist, a checkbox item. If you guys want to apply for all of them, you can. And then as we add more new committee seats, if you're like, oh, look, there's more opportunities, feel free to resubmit the form and we'll just take your most recent one into consideration, okay? Okay, I will take one virtual and then I see 2 hands in the room. So any virtual questions or comments? Okay, then in person, yes. Yeah, do we have any idea what the time commitment would be? That's an actually really good question. And we will write that down into this form as a subcategory description. For the gender equity one, we'll throw it on Slack because that's just time sensitive. But what, Himaja, from last year, like 1 meeting a month maybe?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
1 meeting a month and it was like max an hour and a half. So in terms of like the actual time Peter and I spent, maybe it was in total like 2.5 hours per month. So they give you a little bit of homework. They're like, read it, read some documents and then come in prepared to discuss. And then the discussion is like an hour. So it was extremely manageable for both Peter and I last year. So yeah, definitely something. And they're also really accommodating. So like if there was like a meeting we couldn't make, they like made sure, they shared meeting minutes and things like that to just get you up to speed. So they're really great to work with. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Will there also be like a little description for each committee or a link to the other? And then my second question real quick is, this is just for the graduate council?
Yeah, so we have specifically like sought out these seats saying, hey, we have representatives of the student body. So if you are like a rep or an exec member, like if you're part of HGC, this is like an exclusive opportunity for you. So that's what we're like very excited about being able to sort of present these options. I'm blinding some of you, I apologize. What's up? No, well, I mean, so some of these committees are like the Office for Gender Equity are open to the general community, and so is the Radcliffe Institute because those are both student advisory boards. The ones for like the police department and the library system, that's actually like an administrative board. And so we've like begged them and asked them to create 2 student ex officio seats. So those aren't open to the general Harvard community.
Yeah, so for exactly like Peter said, for the top 2, you'll be working with other students and you'll have other students who serve on there, but there's 1 seat that they've kindly set aside for an HGC.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I don't know, Himaja, I think one of the other like brainstorming ideas was like maybe the office for like financial, strategy and things like that, because we really enjoyed their presentation last year. They seem to love to work with us as well. So and a lot of people had questions about like financial aid and tuition and things like that. That would be a really good place to maybe pitch your 2 cents. And even though tuition here is very complicated, which you guys will learn at retreat. But I saw another hand up. Yes.
Oh, I might have answered, but just asking. So when you say open to HGC, that means to the reps and the executive board?
Yep.
Okay. And I know some people who just don't know as much about HGC and are sort of interested. How does someone become a rep?
That's a good question. And I guess we can answer that here, but that's also on the elections Zoom information session recording. No, but I'm happy to repeat it for any of the new members here as well. So for those of you who are confused about HGC structure, we have a executive board, and then we have a like representative, like I guess you could think of it like as a congressional council. Representatives kind of run the show. You guys have the votes, you guys represent the constituency, the student body, and you're proportionally, appointed and elected. All the 12 schools have their own procedure, whether that is you being the president and that is an ex officio position, or whether that is an application and it's an appointment by the executive board, or a formal election onto a student government seat within your respective school. So everyone sort of has a different process on how they do it, and that's not something HGC regulates. So it depends on that school's student government. Why is he? For the executive board, it's done by a more formal election, which is once in the fall and once in the spring. And as the executive board members, you can sort of, run the logistics. You can sort of be the face of the organization, but at the end of the day, you don't have any voting power, and you're really there to provide support logistically and administratively for all the representatives. So yeah, that's kind of the summary for anyone who is interested and wants to know more. Please check out our elections information Zoom video. Okay, which is a good carrot that we're dangling, saying run for elections if you want to get involved on these committees. Yes. Yeah, go for it.
There's a One Harvard fund that I've heard a lot about, and I've had a couple of student groups from the GSD ask me about the procedures, but I wasn't sure who to direct that question to, so maybe now is a good time to ask what the application procedure is, what the One Harvard fund supports, and how I can disseminate information about it, because we're already about mid-semester now, and I'm getting a little bit of pressure from student groups at my school.
Yeah, really good question. So just to double check, you're talking about the Harvard One Catalyst Fund, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah, wonderful. That's actually a really good segue. And for those of you who are former HGC reps and exec board members, you know how sometimes we can go all the way to 9 o'clock and overboard. I'm going to try and end this early and relieve you of your misery. But that'll be the last question here. But the Harvard One Catalyst Fund, we're going to do another quick shout out. That is the former chair of finance, Brett Monson's brilliance. So the Harvard One Catalyst Fund was a large fund that we had to kind of push and pull and talk to the administration about. And there is a money set aside that HGC can sort of help different student groups out and initiatives that people bring to the table. Because of our chair of finance sort of stepping down this year, it's been a little bit difficult administratively and logistically to coordinate that, but that fund still does exist. The money is still in our account. And we actually did talk to Marshall, who is our advisor / the director of a director in the provost office. And he's like, yeah, if you want to help move forward that initiative, and the next chair of finance can create a committee that reviews the One Catalyst Fund proposals and approves of them and votes on them in council and disperse the funds, it is available. So hopefully, shortly after the next elections with the chair of finance, we'll be able to make that more public.
So I'd be able to know the application procedure and disseminate that once we have elections.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll try and get that out as promptly as possible.
Yeah.
Usually there's a finance chair at this point.
No, I completely understand. I just need to know what the response should
that's
be.
why there's a
Well,
that's why there's a delay with
Yeah,
student
exactly. And also to quickly add, so we talked a little bit about the fiscal year 21 to 22 budget. So once we kind of get that approved by our school or by our council, then we go to the provost essentially, and then they kind of make the final decision. But for last year, we did have a pretty significant amount of our budget allocated to the One Harvard Catalyst Fund. And so we're going forward kind of with a similar idea, and hopefully we can get this passed by our council and then provost.
So I do have one follow-up question, and I'll stop at that point, which is there going to be a procedure where if they want to do like an event, they can apply for it informally right now and then be reimbursed later? Because what's happening is that events are being organized across Harvard schools right now, and they're not able to apply for funding.
Yeah.
And given the COVID year, a lot of student groups don't have the funding that they usually build up.
Yeah, yeah, really good question. Give us just like maybe a couple days to talk about it as an exec board. We're really trying to get things rolling. Unfortunately, with the loss of 2 members of our executive board, we'd had to sort of pick up double duties of our traditional roles. But hopefully as our e-board expands, we're going to get things back in the swing of things. But yeah, we'll try and get that resolved hopefully in less than a week, and we'll let you know.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And then make sure that you're added to our Slack channel on the general channel somehow so you can partake in the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, which is wonderful because that was like our announcements anyway, but we did skip over member privileges. So Himaja, this is yours. Yeah, so I'm gonna let you take it.
So this is very quick. It definitely won't take us the entire time. I've allocated 15 minutes here, but just wanted to kind of open up the floor. One thing that we've kind of gotten feedback from previous meetings is that oftentimes our meetings tend to be very heavily exec board, with us kind of giving you all information, and kind of as this being our first meeting, it kind of inevitably also kind of happened that way. But we wanted to just kind of reserve some time to really hear your thoughts on things we can improve from this meeting that you've seen that we can take for next meetings. Any things that you wanted to bring up, even if they're not related to this, or what we talked about in the agenda currently. We just kind of wanted to take it forward.
Oh, and sorry, Himaja, because I want to make sure that virtual people aren't being ignored, but Brett did say the One Harvard Catalyst Fund cannot be used for charities or fundraisers, so something to note. But we'll be sure to publish the guidelines on what it can be applied for and the process of it when we do make it more public.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Himaja, back to you.
Oh, no, yeah, just opening it up. And then also afterwards, I'll just give a little spiel about kind of expectations.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are meetings gonna be every week or
Every other week. Yep. So if you're a voting rep, we meet every other week. It's a little bit different with the long weekend coming up. So our full list of meetings can be seen on our HGC calendar, and I can send out that link again. But yeah, typically every other week.
Next week is the stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's only, next week is our election, and that's why it's kind of back to back, but normally it's spaced out.
Yeah, it's because the following week is Indigenous people, so.
Exactly. Any other things that people wanted to know, things to bring up? Yeah.
So I just recently got elected to this position, and I'm hoping to learn more about being a rep and what it entails in this space. Is there like a continuity document or something I can read up on that, or is there like other opportunities to talk to past reps?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically, it's because we're short-staffed, and that's why we haven't had one-to-one meetings with all the reps. But traditionally, like either Peter or I or our chair of operations or chair of governance, someone will have one-to-one meetings with all the reps and just kind of give a rundown of roles and expectations. So I'll schedule a meeting with you one-on-one sometime soon, and then we kind of discuss it. But yeah, we actually have a form that we've kind of drafted on our side of things that does detail a little bit more about kind of what we're expecting from reps versus what we're expecting from our executive board members. So I can send that to you as well and to everyone. It's just it's also a big cheat sheet in case, if you're talking to other people about HGC and someone asks you a question, it's a great reference document. And so I can send that along as well.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then for anyone who's just kind of like, feeling the same way, they're like, hey, I'm really new to HGC. I don't really know, the full extent of my role and how things work, like Slack or reimbursements and things like that. That's why we have the retreat. And we'll be doing lots of training. We'll be bringing in lots of interesting guest speakers. One of the things that Himaja and I are planning is bringing back a speaker from the Office of Financial Strategy to talk about how finances work at Harvard. That was a really interesting conversation last year, so we want to bring it in early. We're going to try and work with someone either from HKS, HLS, or HBS who is strong in negotiations and sort of give you guys a negotiations workshop. So we'll be highlighting a lot of different things at retreat. So that'll be like your real big kickoff point as a representative. Question on Zoom. Oh, hello. Go for it.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Did a setting change. I'm now in my kitchen, but I was wondering, I had a student come to me this week, citing some language from our Constitution, trying to figure out how he can get involved. And he said that there was a rule, this would be in section 9(1) under Article 9, officers, committees, and advising of the Constitution, that said that graduate and professional schools designate one voting representative and additional non-voting representative. There's also another version of the Constitution uploaded on the website that says there's can be up to 3 different representatives. So there's 2 different versions of the Constitution uploaded in 2 different spots. So I'm trying to figure out which is accurate, since we have 3 representatives from the law school, although we know that we only get 1 vote.
Yeah, so that's an excellent question, and thanks for bringing that up. I'm sure as Neo is feverishly typing his notes right now. I think what just happened was that there were different amendments. So I would say first, just check the file name, make sure that the number on the file name is the most recent date. If that doesn't exist, what I can tell you to just directly answer that question is that last year we passed an amendment saying, instead of having, we used to kind of go more in the senatorial model, which used to be 1 primary representative, 1 alternate representative for every school. And then we switched more into a congressional model, which is proportional representation. So it is a minimum of 1 representative per school and a maximum of 4 for every 500 students. And I might be, you know what, I will do this, outside of council time. What's that? Oh, okay, you already, okay. Yeah, so William already pulled up the number. I was gonna share you the sheet that has all the calculations, but William says that it's 3 for HLS. So you guys have already been designated 3 representatives, and that's proportional to HLS's student body.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding that correctly. So maybe we should just administratively go back and make sure there's just 1 copy of the Constitution online, just so we don't get confused. I just wanted to bring that to your attention, not a dig or anything, just making sure everyone knows that there's multiple copies on the website.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, that's really important for us to know. So we'll make sure to do that right after this meeting. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Any other questions from people?
I just want to direct comment back to what you mentioned, because as a GSD representative last year, it was very difficult to figure out also what our role is, first of all, in the council, and then how it came back to student government. We were in a very precarious spot with the student government. So I would say the 2-front thing is, one is figuring out how, which is part of the retreat and everything, all the forms, but also be in touch and figure out how it works with your own school. And the best resource for that is probably past representatives that have been at your school the previous year. And that's a difficult thing of information you seek if people have graduated or things have already turned over, but that's a really important thing to get in early. It happened kind of late for us in the GSC, and it kind of threw away a lot of the good productive ones that we had. Yeah, so you don't have to talk to me about that.
Yeah.
But it does depend on each school where the rep sits within the program.
Okay.
Exactly. And if you're looking for contact information, I know exactly like you said, some people aren't using their school emails anymore. So we do have numbers for almost all our previous reps, because that's how we get a hold of people really easily. So just let me know if you would like to reach out to previous reps, and with their permission, I can share that with you.
Gabe, is that what they call discovery in the legal world? Digging through all our documents? Just kidding. On that note, let's not hold people hostage. We are going to adjourn. Who wants to make the first motion to adjourn? All right, C's motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a second. Is there any dissent? All right, so hearing that there's no dissent, the meeting has been adjourned at 8:43 p.m. Thank you all. Great to see you.
Good night.
Chincy has a engraved one, and I really want that.
Peter, before you forget, do you remember who
Thank you, guys. Bye.
It was